everybody and welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Ben, this is Jules.
Hello.
Jules is in the office now. Welcome, Jules. How have you been finding it?
Really good, actually. I've only had 2 beatings from King
Excellent.
Ross.
So, what we're here to talk about today is Ghost Recon Wildlands, which you have been playing. Not quite enough for a review just yet. We should be having our full review maybe in the next couple of weeks. But first impressions-wise, please tell me what this game is.
This game is a bit of a mess, but in a good way.
Okay.
It's kind of like being very, very drunk and ordering a kebab. It's a bad idea, and it will be very messy, but sometimes the results can be good.
Okay.
I found...
What's in this game, kebab, then? What components make it messy?
It would be the visuals. They range from being average at best to being incredibly poor. There's a lot of pop-in, especially on the PS4.
Because it's a big open world, isn't it?
Yeah, and it does beg the question, the big open world exists, and I'm not entirely sure why. Because it really means that the whole game is very, very unfocused. I mean, you played the beta as well, didn't you? And we kind of shared the same experience, which is that it's a solid game in terms of mechanics, like everything works, but it just begs the question, why does it need to be an open world sandbox thing?
So what's the premise for this game? What is it about? Obviously, it's a Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon game.
Yes.
But, in what ways is it different to The Division, for example? Because they seem to be under this Ghost Recon umbrella, going in all sorts of different directions with recent games.
Well, I think that Tom Clancy might be running a bit dry on the storytelling front at the moment, because this game to me is exactly the same premise as Crackdown, if you guys ever played that. It basically is you are part of a super soldier program, effectively, because your guys can take so much more hits than anyone else. You're thrown into a world, you're told that it's completely overrun with gangsters. Each of the mini gangsters who work for the big boss have set up little sort of their own burrows in the world of Bolivia. And you have to take them down one by one in order to destabilize the big boss man, who looks incredibly funny because he looks kind of like John Cena mixed with Jesus. Because he's bold, but he's got a giant sort of cross tattooed on his face, and you're just like, there are very few instances where I could imagine that would be a good idea. I mean, it would definitely mark you out and off the job list for a few places. Right,
I mean, just for example, being the leader of a drug cartel would probably be one of the only applications for a face tattoo like that. It's a squad-based shooter, though.
It is indeed, yeah. The mechanics work that suggest that you are meant to play with up to 3 friends and go around tackling missions, destabilizing the corrupt government and the aforementioned big boss that's taking over the cocaine industries and whatever's in Bolivia, and then doing side missions to help a load of rebels assist you. It's kind of, the rebels are something that I do have a personal problem with, because you don't need them as much as they need you. It's that classic case of, you know, when you played Far Cry?
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing of like, oh, we're about to topple this empire, but we can only do it with your help and only your help. And it's like, well, I'm just one dude and I'm doing
just
a lot.
Guy. Yeah. Speaking of Far Cry, I certainly got the impression when I played the beta of this, but I don't know if maybe in the full release it's slightly different, but it feels like, and this has been systematic with a lot of Ubisoft games in recent years, where it feels like it's almost assembled on a factory line. Where it's like, we'll get the studio that does the open world elements from this to work on this, and we'll get the studio that does the shooting from this to work on this, and it feels like it's very modular. You can see the different Ubisoft franchises in this game. I totally
agree with you, and that's my biggest gripe is that I think that the gelling of those parts doesn't work very well. You've got the shooting mechanics that have come across from the regular sort of Tom Clancy, Ghost Recon and Advanced Warfighter. It feels kind of like that when you're actually playing it. But that doesn't work in an open world as well as they would like you to believe. What it should do, in theory, is create situations in which you've got like a friend on a mountaintop with a sniper rifle, and you've got an explosives guy down the bottom setting up charges in case like vans of support come in, and then you've got another guy kicking through the window or whatever. That's what it should be. But what it actually turns out is, unless you've got perfect communication with your team, which does not happen on consoles, you end up with situations that are like, oh, my friend's just died. Oh, I've only taken 3 hits and I'm dead now.
Right.
Oh, I can't go and revive him. Or somebody takes an age to come over and revive me. There's no countdown timer. You can't quit out. And the whole thing feels that it's just like, if it works, it's great, but it's easily broken.
So, have there been, because you've been playing by yourself at the moment.
Yes.
Have there been any particular standout moments where you've thought, okay, this is working. Because in the beta, I was playing with one other person, and there were just... It's a solid game. That's the thing. It's a solid game. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just not overly remarkable in terms of how it's presented. But there are fleeting moments of brilliance where things just do work. Like me and just this is just 2 people out of 4. I was in a helicopter and he, jumped out, parachuted down. I landed the helicopter nearby and then set up a sniping position while he worked his way through the town tagging people. And we got through it like that. There are moments where it just feels cohesive and brilliant, but they're so fleeting. Have you had that happen yet?
I have had that happen maybe 3 times online, and I've had it happen a lot more offline. For the simple point...
With your AI.
With the simple point that the AIs, while they are a bit stupid, they do follow the orders you give them. Right. Like when you're sending your drone up to go and tag all of the people around you, and you can do the synchronized shots where you can tag somebody for them to kill, that actually works so well because I was up in a church tower looking over a small village. There was some rebels that were being held in a prison, and I was trying to extract information from one of their sort of lieutenants. Okay. Now, I told my team to basically focus on the lieutenants while I went round and got the rebels. And once I got them unlocked, they got their own guns. They started a little firefight, and as soon as they started firing, all of my team broke loose and managed to kill them. That felt really cool. I felt like I'd had a hand in planning that. It never felt out of my control. Right. However, if you get spotted, everyone suddenly knows where you are.
Right.
So and your teammates don't retreat; they just stay with you, and sometimes they'll stay out in the open, and you're just kind of like, well, if that was another player, they would run back.
Yeah. So and maybe take you out of it sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of like it adds quite a lot being offline because you feel responsible, but at the same time you get annoyed more. Yeah. It's a very confusing game, but I was actually so much more surprised at how well this version handled than the beta. Okay. Because the beta I didn't have a fun time with. I really didn't enjoy it at all. I went straight into the online part rather than play offline, and I hated it because everyone just ran off, they did their own things, and it just felt like, okay, well now I'm more alone than by playing alone. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we are planning this evening to have a massive nerd hangout and actually get What Culture Gaming together. So you, Scott, Peter and I are all going to sit in the same room with 4 PS4s and play this game properly how it should be. So we wanted to do that obviously before we then put out our full review. So we're going to experience it as probably the developers intended. I'm sure we'll have many more memorable moments than if we were all playing it separately on our own.
Yes.
And obviously being in the same room removes any aspect of difficulty with voice chat and so on and so forth. So it should be interesting to try that out.
That room's going to smell so bad.
It's going to stink, but we're doing it for you. And our full review will be out, as I said, either next week or the week after.
Yes.
Whenever you've had enough time to get your head around it. But for now, I've been Ben from What Culture. This has been Jules from What Culture, and thank you very much for watching.